Greetings, fellow humans. I'm MartianBuu, and today we're going to talk about balance changes, some of which are actually targeted specifically at Wild. First up, we have Shadowcrafter Scabs. Was 7 mana, going to 8 mana. The dev comment is, Rogue has seen significant increases in play rate and win rate since the last patch, and Scabs is a pretty clear outlier in terms of power. We expected this change to make a fairly large impact in the strength of rogue archetypes across the board. This is mostly targeted at standard, but it does affect wild a little. Mill Rogue and Kingsbane Rogue are kind of on the fringes of viability, so having to wait an entire extra turn to play Scabs when you need to is going to matter a lot. Those decks were still kind of in a position to where they needed a little bit more to be real players, so it's really not going to affect their play rate too much, and maybe this card will still be good in those decks when they get the additional support they need. Wildpaw Knoll used to cost 5, used to have 4 attack, now costs 6, and has 3 attack. The dev comment is, Wildpaw Knoll was intended to be a strong payoff for Maestra of the Masquerade's fun effect, but it has been overperforming in this role, even in decks that don't have dedicated Burgle strategies. We're adjusting Knoll to both come down a bit later as a slightly smaller threat when it does. Again, this is targeted at standard. I do think that this is something that was approaching being relevant in Wild as soon as Rogue just got a little bit more. If for some reason this had lasted until rotation and Rogue got a bunch of new tools starting at the beginning of next year, this isn't going to immediately impact anything in Wild, but it's mostly just preventing anything like that from taking root. Cloak of Shadows was cost 3, now costs 4. The dev comment is, we're happy with Poison Rogue when it's a niche player in the metagame, but the current play rate of the archetype is much higher than intended. Cloak of Shadows also combined with Shadowcrafter Scabs for frustrating play experiences. Reducing the power level of both of these pieces should bring Poison Rogue's overall power level back in line. This one does affect Wild a bit, for all the same reasons as Scabs, as far as Mill Rogue and Kingsbane Rogue being kind of close to viable. But something that is relevant to the current Wild metagame is Pillager Rogue. You don't see a lot of Pillager Rogue because the combo is so clunky, but having Cloak of Shadows at 3 mana was important in that deck. If you are a Pillager Rogue fan, I wouldn't fret too much. We're pretty close to this card rotating, and I can't imagine it'll stay at 4 at the end of the year. Raid the Docks. This is a big one for Wild. Was play 2 pirates, deal 2 damage to random enemy twice, is now play 3 pirates, deal 2 damage to a random enemy twice. The dev comment is, Pirate Warrior is not a power outlier at the highest ranks of play, but it is overperforming at many of the lower ranks of play. Going from 7 total pirates to 8 total pirates will promote deck diversity in the bronze through diamond ranks. I do think that this is somewhat mirrored in Wild. This feels very intended to impact standard and not very intended to impact Wild, but in Wild it's kind of the same thing, except I think it's better in both places. Right now, once you get really high up in Legend, Ignite, Odd Hunter, Shaman, Druid are all kind of making it hard for Pirate Warrior to be oppressive. But it's one of the best decks at punishing you for branching out. If you're not playing the best stuff, Pirate Warrior just gets to the Rokara really fast and has infinite value and pressure and makes it really hard to experiment. This isn't as impactful as I personally wanted, but it is impactful for sure. I do think that the second stage of the quest might have been one of the more frustrating ones. Just getting that free 4 damage if you're an aggro deck and it hits your early board, or if you're a slower deck and you're trying to stabilize and you just get 4 random pressure, it can be really hard to stabilize against Pirate Warrior. So that coming down a pirate later matters a lot. What disappoints me about this is I really wanted the quest to get hit a lot harder because I didn't want it to define Pirate Warrior in Wild anymore. I think Pirate Warrior used to be a really cool deck, but it's just kind of degraded to this play all of the 1-cost pirates no matter the quality of the card just to turbo your way to the Rokara kind of deck. So you're not playing all the best pirates, you're playing all the cheapest pirates and just kind of vomiting them out as fast as possible. I would have liked to see a world where questless Pirate Warrior was the best way to do it, but I am happy that a change happened and it will matter. In Cantor's Flow, old cost was 3, new cost is 4. Dev comment is, when combo mages play in Cantor's Flow on an early turn, they can assemble their game-winning combo at a very fast rate. Similar to our goals for combo-based decks in the previous patch, pushing in Cantor's Flow up a mana will slow down combo mages by a turn or 2, giving slower strategies a better chance to thrive in the overall meta. So again, this is a nerf that's targeting standard, but it does impact wild. Not as much as it would have if it was the only mage nerf in this patch. APM mage would have really felt this hit, but there is actually another mage nerf in this patch which I think is much more impactful. Sorcerer's Apprentice going from 2 mana to 4 mana. No comment. Just kidding, it's part of the next one. Rapid Fire, old cost 1, new cost 2, was 1 damage, now deals 2 damage. The dev comment is, the Rapid Fire and Sorcerer's Apprentice changes are targeted at some of the strongest decks in the current wild meta to improve the long-term overall health of the format. Both of these balance adjustments are aimed at decks with extremely efficient from-hand damage, which puts big constraints on which strategies can find success in wild. By removing power here, the format should open up for a few more viable archetypes to see play, and for wild format to slightly slow down overall. I am extremely pleased with both of these changes. If you follow me on Twitter or watch my Twitch stream, you know I've been championing these exact 2 changes for quite a while. They aren't the only things I would have wanted from a wild balance patch, but they are the primary 2. So it is really nice to see, first of all, that we got anything. You know, we were all expecting no wild balance changes, and we got 2 that are directly targeting wild, and we got 2 really good ones. So I know a lot of people wanted a questline ban. A lot of people wanted the questline changed, which I think is certainly not the way to do it, because the entire point of having standard and wild is so that you don't have to balance new cards over every card ever. Wild problems need wild solutions. The Hunter questline is a standard card, so we don't nerf that card. Banning the Hunter questline was an option to buy time for it to rotate so that it can then be changed and unbanned in wild. But the only good time to ban in wild is if there isn't a wild nerf that does enough. And at least for now, the nerf to Rapid Fire definitely does enough. This is far and away the highest win rate card in the deck. It alone advances the quest by 2, and the deck is already 5 cards short of a 30 that you can be happy with. So going to 7 cards short of a 30 you can be happy with, and the 2 you're losing are your 2 best slots in the whole deck, is definitely going to bring questline Hunter more in line. And what else is nice about it is if you really enjoyed that deck, it's not enough to kill it off completely. You'll probably still find plenty of success with it. It's just not going to be an overbearing presence anymore, at least until they release more cards that synergize with the questline. Some people are saying you're just going to run this now in a non-odd questline. Non-odd questline would be relevant if it had any power, and this would be a nerf to that deck too. It had Rapid Fire before, now it has worse Rapid Fire, so put your mind at ease. Do not worry about non-odd questline. Continue to play odd questline if you enjoy this deck, and enjoy facing a lot less of it if you hated playing against this deck. Going back to Sorcerer's Apprentice, this is a change I really wanted because it does kill the card, but it does it in a way that preserves its spirit. I did a post a while back talking about a lot of people wanted that reduce mana by 1 but not less than 1 change. And I think that that's just sad because this nerf is enough to remove Sorcerer's Apprentice from viability. But if you really liked just doing infinite fireballs with Antonidas for the sake of doing it, you can't do that at all anymore. At least this way, if you really enjoyed Exodia Mage, or you really enjoyed APM, or you really enjoyed Ignite Mage, you still can do it. You'll just win a lot less games while you're at it. So between the Rapid Fire nerf and the Sorcerer's Apprentice nerf, I do feel pretty vindicated. I'm pretty happy about those changes. It's not like Wild's going to change completely with these changes. It's still probably going to be faster than you want it to be, but it's going to be a lot more reasonable as far as the effect that Stormwind had on the types of decks that you can play and hope to even play out your strategy. Thank you for showing Wild some love, Blizzard. Finally, we have a buff to Rokara the Valorous. Used to give 5 armor, now gives 10 armor. This will be the second hero card that hasn't just had 5 armor, and both of them are warrior cards. The first was Dr. Boom Mad Genius. Dev comment: Rokara is one of the less viable hero cards right now. We want each class to have exciting play options, so we're increasing her armor to give her more leeway in swinging into high attack minions, and to better synergize with some of Warrior's armor-focused cards. I think this is really cool. Rokara did feel a little underwhelming before, and 7 mana, gain 10 armor, and have a 5/2 weapon, plus your hero power becomes better, is a pretty good deal. I don't know that this is enough to make Rokara a big force in Wild, but it certainly helps. at least combined with Combo Mage being worse. You might be able to pull this off in an Odd Warrior. For me, I'm excited to try ETC/Charge Warrior again. We had the armor synergy cards that they're talking about in the dev comment, like Galvangar and the one that deals 5 damage to the board. And also in this patch, they're fixing the bug where when you play Bloodsworn Mercenary, it can disconnect you from the game. I was experimenting with ETC Warrior at the beginning of the expansion, and I stopped pretty abruptly just because my game would crash when I would play Bloodsworn Mercenary. But that's getting fixed at the same time. So not only are we not getting like randomly punished with disconnects for trying that strategy, but we're also getting an improved Rokara that might actually be good enough now. I'm excited to play with this. I really like it when they throw a buff in with nerfs. My preference would be whenever they nerf anything, they always buff at least one thing, even if that buff is not expected to be impactful whatsoever. Whenever you nerf a card, you're losing something, and a lot of the time that's for the health of the game and you're happy to see it happen, but for me, I'm always a little sad just because I've lost a cool thing. So if you throw a buff in there, there's also something to be excited about, and I am excited to play with the new version of Rokara. That about wraps things up. I'm pretty pleased with this balance patch. It's not as much affecting Wild as I would have hoped, but it's way more than I expected. So a lot of the pressure is going to be off on Wild. We can maybe experiment with some more fun and some more slower strategies. As much as I love Shaman, I think maybe not hitting the Toxman combo might have been a bit of a miss. But again, way more than I was expecting. I think players like me are going to be really happy. I think overall, format's going to be a lot better, and I'm very optimistic. So let me know down in the comments what you thought, anything that you're excited about to try, anything that you're frustrated was or wasn't changed. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe for more Martian videos. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching.